Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video going through the last couple examples in the 9.8 notes with compound inequalities. So there's going to be two types of questions, and questions or questions. And so you can see here with and I am looking for the overlap or the intersection. With or, we're looking for the union is the fancy math word, or when we combine them or we put them together. So before we jump into the actual examples from the notes, I wanted to do a couple just so you could see the difference between and or. So here's the first one, and pretend that I have solved the equations, I've graphed it, and here's the graph I have left. I've got let me get my highlighter. I've got 3 off to infinity, negative 3 off to infinity, and negative 4 to negative infinity. First type of question, if I had and, I would be looking at the first one, negative 3 to infinity. And then the other one, 4 to negative infinity. And, so I've put them on the same graph, and is looking for the overlap. Where are both graphs? So for this one, the overlap is going to be this interval right here, negative 3 to 4, because that's where both of the graphs are. If the question had asked for or, I'm still looking at the same thing. I've still got negative 3 to positive infinity and 4 to negative infinity. But with or, I'm combining the graphs. I'm looking at the total put together graph. And so this, the interval would be negative infinity to infinity, because now I've got graph going off to both ends. All right, here's another one. 0 with the graph to the left towards negative infinity, 7 with the graph to the right. Okay, if it asks for and, I'll do this one in pink. 0 is going this direction. 7, we'll say, is right here, going this direction, and is looking for where are both the graphs. Well, there aren't both the graphs. There is no place where the graphs overlap. And so we call this the empty set. And a symbol with a slash through it, because there is no point where there's no overlap of these two graphs. Versus or of these graphs, I've got my 0 going off this way and 7 going off this way. Well, when I unite those two graphs together, now I have to take into account both parts. And so I'm going to write this as an interval. The graph goes from negative infinity to 0 with a bracket on 0. Union, because I've got this little skip in the graph, a break in the graph. And then 7 to infinity. So make sure you see the difference. There is not a way to just memorize and is always this, or is always this. You have to think about it as and is the overlap. And I'm not going to write it. Let me just zoom back out. And is the overlap. And or is putting those two together. And then also, here is that symbol for the empty set. And that happens when there is no overlap. Like in this one, there is no overlap. All right, so in the next video, we're going to be picking up and just doing more examples.